welcome everybody today. We've got a nice group. If you go all the way back on the right-hand side, is the restrooms. And we're aware that the water is running. Oh, you fixed it?
Well, temporarily.
We've been doing some for weeks.
Yes, we keep telling the county because they pay our water bill. They haven't sent anybody out. I'd like to take a moment to remember Claire Marie Teeters. We lost her this week, and she's a huge loss to our community. She was with the Historical Society 40 years and was very active around town. So give a good thought to her family. Okay, I'd like to introduce all of our wonderful volunteers. Somewhere over there is Steve Marr. Oh, Steve! Oh, there he is, over there.
He's over there.
And Lenore Will is our secretary. And Bob Will is the treasurer. Mr. Flagman. Today we have volunteer Meredith Jeffries. She's the one running the 50-50 drawing. Another volunteer is David Duran. Oh, right. He helps us mostly with the festivals. He comes and mans the booth. And Josette.
There's no way.
She's with our Calamasa Bureau. Her and Jackie are working on putting together a Calamasa museum. And so they're back here in the corner working on it. And we'd like to invite anybody that would like to come and volunteer. It's not a lot of hours. We're open Wednesdays 3 to 6 and Saturdays 10 to 3. And that's all the hours unless we have a special event. And I'd like to invite those that are not members already for 2024 to fill out the little envelope on your table, and the membership is only $20, which has been that forever. Well, I take that back. Back in the 70s, it was $5. And our annual tea, we're doing the planning already. It will be in June. We don't have the exact date yet, but keep watch on our website because the tickets sell out really fast. And next Saturday, there's an art exhibit and sale at Parish Ranch. And it's being put on by Farad and Jennifer Ali. And it starts at 3 o'clock next Saturday. No charge to get in, but some beautiful art. In fact, Jennifer, I don't know how many of you were here for the last tea. She donated Johnny Depp painting. Oh, it was gorgeous.
Don't forget refreshments.
No, you can't eat today. I'm really hungry, so. Yes, please help yourself to the refreshments. And there's water and tea and hot chocolate over there.
Sarah, is there art show? Are they just doing their art, or are they doing community art? You know?
You know, I don't know. In fact, I'm speaking there and I don't know.
Okay.
But, yeah, I'll give you this. It has the phone number on it. You can check. Now, on to the good stuff. Get past all those announcements. I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Paul La Canfora. He's spent many years looking for the mines in this area, and did many hunts with Claire Marie Teeters. In fact, he has some things in our mining display, and he's written three books now, and he'll tell you all about those. And then there will be a book signing after the presentation. Any questions?
50/50.
Oh, yeah. The 50/50 opportunity drawing. The tickets are $1 each, or 6 for $5. And at the end, we'll do the drawing, and the winner gets half, and the other half goes to the museum. And welcome, Mr. Paul La Canfora.
Thank you so much for coming out, taking time out of your Saturday. It really, truly is a privilege for me. I was so excited years ago to be a part of the Historical Society when this was all being developed. And so I was being modest in my mining book. I said I did over 40 hikes. It was actually like over 80 up in the Crafton Hills. I know the place like the back of my hand. Could I still hike it 20, like I did 20 some years ago? A lot slower, but a lot of fun. I want to thank the Historical Society for this invite too. It really is a privilege, and I just love I love everything history. I love having time capsules of memories. And let me know if that feedback's starting to kill you or not. But I'm just trying to stand back as far as I can. Can we just stand? Yeah, just turn it down a little bit maybe. And I can talk really loud, so it's not a problem. So I have a couple family members who are here. My mother-in-law's over here, Carol. My oldest son, Evan, who's 29. That's him right there in this little picture. My daughter, Emily. And I have a huge thank you to Layla and her husband. Layla is my editor, and that is like the magic behind writing. Because I write, and then she's like, no, like this. So a little bit about me. I am the youngest of 6 kids. We came to Yucaipa. My single mom gave birth to me by herself, and she knew that my dad was gone, and so she said, wow, I got to do something about that. So she packed up, prayed, and moved to Yucaipa in 1966. And I'll get into that at the end of this mining series, but this is my mom. This is all 6 of us little spuds at 7th Street Park, like in 1969. I'm the cutest little one there. And then this is a piano that's kind of significant. So I wrote this, it's a tale of my mother and being a single mom in 1966 on her own, coming to Yucaipa, and I'll talk a little bit about it towards the end. So I wrote it in 2 books, and the reason why there's 2, I kept telling my siblings, it's almost done, don't worry. And then by Christmas time, so I split it in 2, so to finish the half of it made it easier on me. So,
Tell them the title of that.
yeah, single mom, 6 kids and a piano. There's the early years, and then single mom, 6 kids and a piano in the later years. And it's the tale of my mom again. She was a wonderful lady. She's no longer with us. She passed away years ago. And so I wanted to tell her story basically, and what it was like growing up. What's it like jumping on trains and riding on trains and jumping off and starting fires and all the things we did as little kids. Yeah, that you wouldn't dare have your kids do today. They're a lot of fun. We left Yucaipa in '73 and moved to Banning. Grew up in Banning, Beaumont, where I met my wife, Jennifer. My wife is a school teacher at Competitive Edge. She is Jennifer La Canfora. She's been teaching kindergarten for 31 years. Yes, so she is truly a saint. And she's wonderful. She's not in attendance today, but my thanks goes out to her too. And also, I have to say, I was really rushing to get this done for Claire. And as you know, Sarah said she passed away. It was about 8 or 9 months ago I stopped by her house. And I didn't know she was in decline. But I told her, Claire, I'm writing a book about all the fun tales and all the times you've kicked me in the shins and all the other things. And so in Claire fashion, she said, "Wow, come here." And she ran to a file cabinet. She sits down like she's 20. She jumps out, pulls out a bunch of books and starts going through, maybe you could use this or that, or what do you think about this or that? I mean, just in Claire fashion. And then I was just here doing a slideshow and I heard that she passed. And for her and Hank Cobb, and I was hoping Hank would be in attendance, they were the masterminds, and I write about them. I want to thank them because I'm going to be mentioning her a lot in this slideshow because she was adamant about finding William Roach's lost mines. And they were looking and looking, and then, so I'm the little smart aleck who shows up and says, "Yeah, I'll run up there and find him real quick." And she's like, "Whatever." So I ran up there and found him real quick. Lecture's over. As the kids say today, drop the mic, is that how it goes?
Yeah.
So this is actually, so William Roach, he's an interesting character, hey Lonnie. So it's an interesting character because not a lot is known about him. All of our focus was trying to find this canyon because when you start to see the Crafton Hills and you read all his claims, it's pretty amazing that all the hard work that was done so long ago. And so I'm going to take you guys back in the past. Let me know if you're ready. Ready? Here we go. Wingstop. All right. It's wonderful. Okay. The reason I'm showing these pictures is because this is 5th Street, obviously, and there's Chuck. No, I don't know who that is. There's the foothills right there. And one of my most favorite pictures of all time is this picture right here. And because you can see the foothills. And you can see all the groves. This is Ukipa in 1890. I mean, it's a prairie. There's just not a lot here. And sorry, am I blocking you? So you're good. Yeah, I'll sit down.
You're not getting
This, so now I don't want to cause any controversy right out of the gate. So walk with me here. So you look at the hill, how it comes down. This is County Line Road. See how the hill comes down? I'm not saying that this is County Line Road, but I'm going to start controversy right now. Because you see the hill here, how it goes up? County Line Road, hill goes down. I'm just saying. Okay. And I love this photo right here. So the reason why I'm building this part up is because what it was like to be a miner back then. There's no the Ace Hardware. There's no, Did you stop by Starbucks? Can't do that, right? So this is 1911, and I'm guessing, and please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is Flag Hill Park. I think this is Douglas, and I think right here is Bryant.
Right.
Is it? So, yeah, so that gives you an idea of 1911, what Ukipa was like. It's just slowly building up. And there's the good old Crafton Hills. And then this is about 2001 or 2. There's Claire, there's me. I was young and skinny at the time, and I do not remember this gentleman's name. If anybody knows or seen him, he's in Lost and Found right now in my speech. So anyway, we were in the Crafton Hills. We had keys. You feel like royalty to be able to drive in the Crafton Hills and park and walk to the mines, but still, it's very steep. The Crafton Hills are an amazing place. You just drive by all the time, you don't really realize what's in there. But this was one of the times we were hiking back there. And now this is what Claire challenged me with. She said, I gotta find these mines. And so she handed me this work right here that tells you what William Roach did. And the main thing was this clue. It was a 5x5x10 hole, 20 tons of material. And then next to the main tunnel, and it's next to the Redbird mine. And there was a lot of chatter about the Redbird mine. She had a theory that it was huge. But I'm like I'm a builder, so that's what I do for a living. So 20 tons of material is really not a lot. I said, it's probably like a 20-foot tunnel. And she's like, no way, it's gotta be huge. I said, well, is there a road? I mean, there would be roads. So I had this theory that these really are probably smaller prospects. And when you're prospecting back there, back in those days, you had to take a horse, mule, anything. And again, there's no Ace Hardware. There's no, hey, let me stop and get a sausage egg McMuffin and hash browns. And it was primitive, and if you go back to that picture of the valley, what it looked like, you can see the days of when these guys were digging. So right here, he began work on the Redbird mine, 1889 and as early as 1881 and 82. And this is a proof of labor, excuse me, she showed me, and I transcribed it, I typed it out, so when you see misspellings, it's not me, I just typed it verbatim. So later you gotta go easy on me, okay? So proof of labor before me, the subscriber personnel appeared before me, A.J. Felter, a notary public, William Roach, who, being duly sworn, says that at least $140 worth of labor, that's quite a chunk of change back then, and improvements were performed or made upon the mine known as the Redbird, namely seeking a 5 feet square, 10 feet deep, also extracting about 20 tons of rock tunnel west of the shaft situated in that's not me. You Ukibo Mountains. During the year December 31st, 1891, such expenditures was made for William Roach for the purpose of holding said claim. So it's pretty amazing to think back then, you know, what they were paying out. That's a lot of money back then. And then so these are William's claims that she knew there's got to be a canyon or somewhere where all these are at. We already knew of Gold Bar 1, 2, Gold Gulch. How many have heard of Gold Gulch? So if you're at Vaughn's parking lot, you look right at Crafton Hills, there's the deepest crevice. That's Gold Gulch, and that's where a lot of the known digs were. We'll have a little bit of that in here too. There's where the biggest tunnel, probably in the Crafton Hills, is Gold Bar 2. And there's a picture of that in here as well. And so William Roach and Wiggins were here at these early dates. So this is, remember the Ukibo Valley picture of the 1890? Now this is 1883. So it's going way back. So these were some of the mines, and then this one's interesting. William Wiggins was the original locator of the Knox Quartz mine, then abandoned the site. So they refiled in 1883. So who knows how early they were there? I mean, that's even earlier. So they were going to town. So these are his mines. And then I just want to give a reminder shot of this one again, because that's what it was like. So maybe Redlands, you start off in Redlands, and I worked up in Forest Falls for years, and I remember people saying to get to Forest Falls back in the 1800s, you had to take a horse from Redlands, and it's a 12-hour journey to get to Forest Falls. Bonnie just cruised down in what, 8 minutes? Yeah, so you had to go across the creek over and over and over again, and the wagons had to stay close to the creek over and over and over again. I have Roxanne and Alan, they live up there too. I mean, imagine 12 hours on a horse. So imagine what it was like coming up here. So this is the Crafton Hills aerial, and I don't know if you noticed the incredible amount of mazes that go on in this place. This right here, when she said, yeah, go find it. All right, piece of cake. So, but the one clue that was on those claims in the proof of labor is just north of Ukibo Ranch. So I thought, all right, well, where's the ranch? And as you see, here's the regional park lakes right here. And then here's the new water reservoir. You guys even know that's up there? Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then over here they have one. This is the Crafton Hills College. And then this is all Chapman Heights. So back in the day, you used to be able to drive right up here and go right in, but now it's a lot more difficult. So, but back then, Clyde's Ranch, I can't remember the name of the ranch, Clyde's Ranch. So, I want to show this too. This is the Crafton Hills in its entirety, all the way down to the 10 freeway. So you grab your In-N-Out burger right here, or Cane's Chicken, you get on the freeway, you drive by the freeway, and you're like, what are those emblems on the side of the freeway? But this section here is where I found the most activity of all the digs. There's the vein must run that channel. I didn't find hardly, maybe a few prospects out here, but that right in there was like the heart of it. There's some mines, I think it's right, so that one right there, I will refuse to go in that because growing right there is poison oak. So when I see that, it's like, all right, nice mine, I'll never know what's in there. And I'm susceptible to that horrible bush. So that gives you an idea of the main digs. There's even one right above the high school, and but most of them I found were all in there. So recognize this part of the freeway? Going up towards Yucaipa. So Yucaipa is this way, and then Ford's behind you. So I wanted to point out, there's actually a cutout of one of the mines right there. So you can see it right there. So I kind of pointed out the book, you can see that's the entrance, and you'll see part of the shaft. And it's just in. So when they were cutting down that freeway, they cut through one of them. So that's how far the digs go. It's pretty amazing. You drive by it all the time. Instead, you're like, oh, look at all the traffic. But make sure you keep your eyes on the road. Don't. If there's a crash, it's not my fault. And then I wanted to point that out. This is Claire's work. So Claire, on this picture right here, I think you can still see the Native American drawings from. They're like you can see them from the sky. I think it's still on this photo. These are 1930s photos of a plane going by, taking a picture. I took that home once with a magnifying glass and a light, and I believe you can still see part of this down in the upper part of, on this side of the freeway, that the Native Americans, I don't know if it was the Serrano Indians, they had dug it on the ground. So Claire, this is Claire's, she was a driver. She was stubborn. I'm speaking personally, I've experienced her wrath, of course her friendship, and many kicks in the shin, because she drove the Chapman Heights to have the names of Orofino. You have Golden Gulch, they're named after the mines. She had the freeways when they were doing this, so she had a lot of drive to have a lot of the history imprinted everywhere around Yucaipa. So that's one thing that I really enjoyed. She was a huge driver, and she made this, she helped put this together here, and I was involved back then when we started filling some of the cabinets, and what she left is pretty amazing for all of us to enjoy. Okay, back to here, so Clyde's Ranch was around here, and then he says just north of Yucaipa Ranch, and then a mile and a half of Arasta Springs. And the Arasta Springs were over here, so here's this here, so I kind of wanted to keep my aim going north, no matter how much this kept wiggling around, I wanted to try and stay north. And I can go into details of the things I found, the possible mountain lion, PBGBs, things like that are out here. Right here is the orange groves in 95, so you can be able to drive right up to the Craftons going, and again, that's Chapman Heights now. And that's what it looked like in 2002. They already built the reservoir, but this was my main hikes were just going right through. And now this is all walkway. You have to park far away, it takes forever. And if you're climbing over the fence, one time I was climbing over and people were like, call 911. Got the shade. So now here's Roach's Canyon. See it? Okay, wonderful. So as I scissored my way through, here's his canyon right here. It's called the Y Canyon. And I kind of put that little mark on there, and that's what it looks like blown up, and you can see the grass. So when I was following those claims, I was just north of Yucaipa Ranch, and so now I want to pause a second. Does anyone here know Wayne Purcell? Yes, good old Wayne. So Wayne is like all things outdoors. When you hike with Wayne in the wilderness, you know he's a retired pastor, and he'll be walking along. We're talking. He grabs stuff from the ground. He's crumbling his hand, eating it. And I was like, "What'd you just put in your mouth?" And he knows. Oh, he's like a botanist. Like, what do you call that? He knows geology. And he'll go up to a rock, and we're talking. As he's talking, he'll pull the rock open and try and grab what's ever under it. And one time he does that, boom! He has a lizard in his hand. He's just that way. He wrote a book over here, and it's called. I can't remember. It has to do with Ridgecrest. Anyway, his book's here for sale. Wayne's a really neat guy, and he came with me. My first time I went up into Crafton's, I came across a kill, and I was like, wow, that looks fresh. And then as I was going farther up in this, it gets real windy, and it kind of gets grown over. And I was kind of almost squatting going through the shrubs, and I hear something ahead of me, and I'm going, yeah, get out of here, yeah. Thinking, all right. What just killed that? Could have been a mountain lion, could have been doing, I'm yelling, and I hear the thing turn around and come back down, and by that time I'm like, I'm out of here. I literally ran up the side of one of these hills because I wanted to see what was there. So the second time I invited Wayne, hey Wayne, you can go ahead of me this time. So anyway, when Wayne and I, we kept going up here, I said, I want to stay north, no matter what happens, I want to get north. So we kept coming back until we entered this canyon. I think I can go back a little bit. So we finally make it to this right here, but I kept telling him, I gotta get back, I gotta go east to get north, if that makes any sense. So I felt like we were already way far away from the ranch house. And then so, coming here, he continued this way, the sun just came up, I went this way, said, I want to stay in this canyon right here. And the first, right when I got on the floor there, it was a beautiful morning. And then, we'll go ahead myself. So right here, up in this area, I see something in the hill that looked man-made. So I ran up there, and I'm staring at a 5x5 by 10 shaft. And I was like, you know, that's when the cloud breaks, the sun shines through, and it really is exciting. And I took out my pack, I grabbed the clay markers, and I was looking 5x5 right next to the redbird line, next to the main tunnel. So I was like, yes, I'm on it. And I just had to find a tunnel. So I looked around and I saw a mound over here, which I already walked by. So imagine 100+ years. You think of it, it's 2024. Now 100 years ago is 1924. When we're growing up, you know, the 1800s was 100 years ago, and now that's 140 years ago. So 20 years ago, when I went up and I'm seeing everything, just you see what time does to these digs. I jumped down and I landed on a mound, and there's a big bush, and I turned around and there's that entrance, the one that's on the cover of your book. That was the first thing I saw, and that's the redbird mine. And the opening looks big on the book, but it's only like so big. And I was like, yes, this is the redbird mine. This is Roach's Canyon. So I took off my pack, grabbed a flashlight, jumped down in that hole, and sliding down like this, and I kicked a wooden nest, and a spotted skunk runs to the end of the tunnel. And I'm like, I have my light on and going, So I just froze, and that's when I think I read about how so many thoughts go through your mind: tomato baths, whatever you get discussed. But I was sitting looking in the redbird mine, and it was about 20 feet deep. So I knew 20 tons of dirt, it was right. The measurements were about right, I figured it was right. And I was like, wow, this is cool. Man, there's a really mad skunk right there. So I roll over, I crawl out, and I'm yelling for Wayne, and he's still up here, probably like chasing a lizard or trying to find an owl or something. So then I walk up the canyon, and then on his early claims, there was one of them called Mountain Lion Mine. When I went up and over the hill, I just wanted to point this out. You can see this on Google Earth. See that red right there? It's a cinnabar mine. I took the materials to a geologist, and he said cinnabar, where you get mercury from, which mercury used to extract gold. So that's right there, right above Roach's Canyon. And this is what Roach's Canyon looks like when you're there, when you're on top of it. That's his canyon down in here. It's really steep. Everything is steep. Everything will pull your heart out of your chest when you go up and down these mountains. Everything that Crafton builds is absolutely steep. Rarely can you get up a hill without, oh, just hold on for a second. We led field trips back here, and it was tough.
Paul,
Yeah.
Wayne's book is Justice for All, the story of Big Poker Tom.
Big Poker Tom, that's it. Yeah, it's right there for sale. Great book. So right here is what I saw, the shaft. This is what the evidence I see. When you see anything like that, you know somebody's been there. It's not natural. You always let your eyes go smooth. Wait, that looks like it's been messed with. So you go up and look at it. You have to look. And that's one of the things, like in my hiking, when I've raised my kids, listen, you never stay on the trail. You never return the same way you came in, because you'll never find anything cool. So my youngest son was on a field trip on the Craftons, and they were going on the designated trails. He's like, hey, there's a mine over here, can we go over there? I'm like, no, stay on the trail. My dad says never stay on the trail. It's like, who's your father? Yeah, when you hike on the Crafton Hills, one of the trails, you walk over one of the, it's like you'll walk right over one of the mines. If you just look over the edge and go down, and you can still go in the mine. You have to crawl on your belly, and it's about that tall. So me and Wayne went in there, and we get in there, but it opens up like a snake tongue. It just goes in, and you can actually almost stand in there. I found a really cool glass candle holder in there years ago. And the stuff that I collected, again, is on the display case. So I started metal detecting this area. There's the redbird mine, and there's Wayne right there. no way. So this is later on, we let a field trip in, and we let a bunch of people in there. It was a lot of fun. And then that is mountain lion mine in the same canyon. So you see that when I was hiking over here, and I'm still yelling for Wayne. So Wayne, and finally he came over the top. And I said, I found the redbird mine, this is it. So he came running down, I said, stop. I think that's a mountain lion. I'm holding my book and the claim. I think that's mountain lion mine. Run in there real quick. He did. So, and again, he popped in there and he was gone. And this is it. Goes back about 10 to 12 feet. It was a lot of fun. No mountain lion. And then this is some of the items that are on that grassy floor when I did metal dissecting. So this right here is a roll of metal with twine around it. This was buried about a foot and a half under the dirt. And this is a piece of metal unrolled that you can see how cut up it is. So they would have cut it up and used it for whatever various tools and things like that. I don't think they processed anything there. I think they brought everything out. Because there's no evidence of water. There's no, because you can find water in the main canyon by the ranch, but then there's little springs and things like that, but it's not the best place to try and process material. So I think even Gold Bar, all those, I think they brought it into Ukipa Valley, did all the processing there. This used to be on display over there, but I don't know what happened to this. Did you guys unroll it and use it for something else? Yeah.
It's over there. Yeah.
Yeah, and that big piece, this was fun carrying out, by the way. I want you to know, I took one for the team. And this is in the same canyon, there's little digs here, and this is the red mine, which was buried, and then this is me, and that's Marvin. He's in the display. He's a gold miner. He's the one who verified there is gold in them barrels. We went in there, we undug the red mine and went in, and there's a good chunk and a good vein, and he said, look, there's flour gold right here. So it's small amounts of gold. It's not the mother lode, it's not Colorado, it's not like where they really find the chunks. Out at the Virginia Dale, I think from there, we went past 20 palms. In 2000, some guy kicked over a 32-ounce gold nugget. Never happens to me. One of my things, I'm content with finding an old bottle. That makes me happy. Seems like gold always gets people in trouble. So that was a lot of fun. That was another field trip. I think that was the same one of that photo right there. Now this is that picture I took. It's in the display over there, and so laser you guys eyeballs. Sorry about that. But this is what you find. This is the material right here. I'm not a geologist. Again, I like to find things, but I can't. They tell me what this is an hour later. What did you say that was? It's like you tell me your name. But these are markers that are on top of the hills that you find these throughout. It's pretty amazing. And that is the material that's just protruding out of the ground. So it's a red iron oxide iron. So iron's a metal. Burned iron is yellow or orange like that. All metals travel together. Because I always said, how do they choose where to look for this stuff? Well, iron is a metal. All metals travel together. You prospect. So you test it and see if there's anything else. Copper, silver, gold, that's how they start. And they start to prospect. So a lot of these digs, 28 of them that I found, they're just small. Some of them are 3 feet indentions. Some go a little bit of ways, but they're nothing real big. And if you've ever been in big gold mines like out the 29 Palms area, if you go out to the Virginia Dale mining area, I mean, there's a shaft out there. I crawled down, but don't tell my wife. There was a ladder, and it was in good shape. So I went down this way. I kept going down, and then, this thing had, the cable spool alone was probably 2,000 feet. That was up above. And I kept going down, I pulled a chunk out of the wall, reached out over this fence and threw it down. I still couldn't hear it land. And you're like, wow. And then you're like, what am I doing down here? That place out there is one of my favorite. Me and my boys would go camp out there. My daughter, the first time she drove a Jeep out in there was 35 minutes in. So she's 15 years old. You drive, and you learn how to navigate roads. It's a great place. It's one of my most favorite places to go. And you can still find legit gold out there. These are the trails that are up there, just probably from the old miners, because they knew each other. And everybody referenced William Roach, so he must have been the most important. They reference him all the time. William Roach, next to away from Roach's Canyon, everybody knew who he was. But you find these trails just randomly over the Crafton Hills, but most people don't know they even exist. And then these are some of the other I think this is Mesquite Mine, and it only goes back in about 8 feet. There's Claire again, and we were taking a field trip out there again. And this gives you an idea of how steep the canyons are. Yeah, one of the pick hammers I found was down here, and way up there, there's a great side view of it. The mines are up top. The miner probably dropped his hammer and watched it. Yeah, forget it. I'm not going down there again. It was about a foot underground. The wood handle was gone, but the metal is still there. It's a really cool pick hammer. But that gives you an idea. It's almost fantasy fiction world. I mean, it really is a different world back in there. And that's just sheer, straight up rock. I mean, the picture doesn't do it justice, but you're literally looking straight up. And then this right here, in Gold Gulch, there's Gold Bar 1, 2, and 3. This is a wood square post. It's been burned. And I was metal detecting there. I was up there by myself again, being as safe as possible. And I got hit, and that's a Calumet baking soda can. And so I was like, wow, there's a claim marker. So whenever you find a post, whether you're out in the desert, check the 3 posts. You usually see 3 posts, they're about 600 feet away. Check and they'll still be the legit document in there. And this is what was in here. So this was a claim redone in 1955. So somebody came here, Gold Bar, filed a claim. They renamed it the Los Padres, and the name was Jane Baker. So I was wondering where this was at, and I was looking at the display case. I don't know what happened to that. And then Steve, who's with the historical society, said, "Hey, he said, I found this in the safe." I'm like, perfect timing. That's it.
Yeah.
And then this is in Gold Bar, looking towards the exit. That's the exit. It's real small, and you gotta crawl. Anybody claustrophobic? Yeah. So this is inside the Gold Bar, which you can still go in there right now. You know, it's about 15 feet across this way, and the tunnel goes back about 60, 70 feet, but that's the exit. And no, that's how it goes, it's just a reflection of it. So this is kind of funny. This is my friend Chris. He was one of my janitors at the time, and I dragged him up there, and that's the entrance to Gold Bar 2. So the one I just showed you, that's how tight it is. So I came out, and he's down in there in the dark. There's a snake! There's a snake on the entrance. I said, oh, yeah, that's a gopher snake. And it slid into the rocks. He's like, you sure? I said, yeah. And they don't hurt you. Okay, so he crawled out, and he looks in there and goes, how did you see in there? Did you even see in there? Like, no. Well, how'd you know it was a gopher snake? I didn't know. Well, did it rattle? I mean, no, you're good. I said, if it was a rattlesnake, you would have came out. That's not funny. That's not funny. So anyway. Now this is over by the coffee can mine. This is the new concrete reservoir. This one, my son and I, who's in attendance here when he was young, we were hiking up here, and I just really want to give this a good metal detect search, because this is the entrance to Gold Bar, or Gold Gulch. So right over here on the right, I saw this weird, it kept looking weird to me, but I thought, I don't see nothing. But he was hanging out down here, and I ran up the side of this to the top of this, and I looked down, and I could see there's an entrance. I said, oh, there's a mine right there. We walk by all the time. So I came back down, and I yelled down to Evan, I said, hop in there! And so I see him disappear, he went in there. And it was coffee can mine, and the display's back there, that shovel and everything, and it's everything we found just as it was. And that's what it looked like when you go in there. It's kind of sketchy, it's not real hard rock, but we went in anyway. My son paid me, every good father takes their son and something. So, now, all of this research, and the funny thing was, there was like a battle going on with Claire, and she said, hey, I'm going to reveal everything in the newspaper. And then when Wayne came to me and the newspaper came out, and I'm thinking, yeah, this could be so cool, notoriety, fame, fortune. And then the paper came out. Wayne did it. I'm like, what did you do? And then so the funny tale is, there's a Marvin found a good sample. Claire said, I want this sample of ore. It's real small over there now, but it was a big sample when it started out. And we took the sample out, we set it down. Wayne wasn't with us. He was over digging out one of the other mines, and then I wanted to show them not my mine, so you had to crawl away. So they left that on the ground and everything, our tools, backpacks. So Wayne came over to hang out, and he's like, oh, look at that. And he's like, man, is that boulder? Start pulverizing. So the story goes that, and you can see how the story goes about Wayne. So here's Paul La Canfora. They must spell my name right. I was like, Wayne did what, Claire? I went up there and found these mines, and anyways, she kicked me in the shin again. Quit your complaining, kind of thing. It was very funny. And Wayne and I, 20 years later, were like, he's like, I said, hey, Wayne did it. So it's still our joke together. But anyway, there's a great picture of Claire, because she was she was an editor for the paper forever, the News Mirror. And then just the bonus, this is the trench. I don't know if you've ever seen this. The Chinese had dug this in the mid-1800s to bring water from Mill Creek Canyon all the way across the Crafton Hills. This is all hand dug, right through the hills. It's all collapsed, and they made it all the way to, this is the end of it. Me and my son, who's in attendance, we hiked this and tried metal detecting it to see if it was anything, but that was all a big project. That's a little bonus, that's nothing to do. And then this is, now I'm gonna move over to, is there any questions? You guys, feel free if you have any questions. Yeah.
What you were just showing us where it ends, was that right above Crafton College?
Yes, yeah, hand dug. This thing isn't you saw, that's a high-up picture. This thing is probably as wide as from here to there. And hand dug down like 10 feet. That was a project.
One day we were hiking, when I worked at the fire station on Bryant Street, hiked up to Zonky Peak, and then instead of going back down the trail, we went just right down the face into the canyon. At the base of the canyon there, where we finally leveled off, walking out towards the regional park, we looked back in the corner of the canyon on the east side of the canyon. There was a cave there, or a mine, that had a steel door on it. Was that a mine, or is it just a water canyon? Or
Could be. A lot of the ones like up here in the hills of Calamasa, they're water tunnels, liquid gold we call them. But I don't know. I literally have avoided all those because of the poison. Because Claire's like, I want you to go over to the regional park. I'm like, nope. And now Gold Gulch is full of poison oak. I mean, I've had it literally over 40 times. I finally figured out how to get rid of it quicker. You wash your shoes because, man, it seems like your shoes are the carriers. So this is the state park, and this is another funny thing because when we were talking one time, I can't remember where we were at. It was like a gathering. Somebody said, "Well, how did you find all the gold? You know, the William Roach's mine?" I said, "It was actually really easy. I just went north of Ukaipa Ranch," and Claire literally kicked me in the shin because it made her so mad because she's like, "I looked for that thing for 8 years, little punk kid." Anyway, it's a love-hate relationship. So over here is Davis Canyon. This is Gravity Hill going up to Oak Glen, and then this is Wildwood Park. So this is another one of Claire's hard work. She was able to take this canyon where Hunts Ranch is and make it a state park. She had to like pull with everybody. I mean, it was amazing. And she asked me, "Will you go in there and do a thorough search before, if there's anything we can find that's significant, that'll really help?" Because we've done a little bit of searches, but she said, "You're like a mountain goat, so have at it." So she took me up here and we looked down in, because she said, "Here's gonna be the state park." And I looked over right on this area here and I saw a dot. And I said, "Is that a mine?" I had my binoculars. She goes, this is the funny thing, she looked at Hank and she's like, "That better not be. I've hiked up here for 10 years. You walk up here, is that a mine?" You know, so, and sure enough, there's a dot. I thought, that looks like a mine. And then so I came back that evening and it's still there. So it wasn't the sun, it was still a dot. And so sure enough, right up here, you can almost see there's a trail. There's an old miner's trail that goes up just a little quarry and it goes back about 8 feet. I went inside and took a picture out. And but this is one of the things that Claire had this kind of knowledge. Somebody had said there's a quarry, and I think it was like of a marble material, But the geologist said, Claire, that's not true, that stuff doesn't exist. So I brought it back and I handed it to Hank, he looked at it and goes, what do you know? So it answered another question that she had heard about, and we were able to put that one to rest too. So I got to go in and look at Hunt's Ranch, and here's the Doc's house, here's where the ranger station was, I don't know the name of it, but this is Hunt's Ranch. And that's when I first went in and what the Doc's house looked like. It's all been cut down and looks clean now, but these are inside the state park. He had the best view of the whole valley out of that front porch.
Where is the state park that you're talking about?
So in Wildwood Canyon,
Okay.
so when you go up Wildwood Canyon on the right, there's the park. And then there's a sign that says Wildwood State Park, you go left, you go in park and you can hike. It's a good hiking trail, horses and everything, really neat. So there's a lot of old history in there.
Oh, that view right there, back right there, is that from the, what they call the uphill house?
Yeah, so that's this one, the Doc's house over here,
Oh,
right there. So his view coming out this way, it's pretty spectacular.
yeah, been up there.
Yeah, we've hiked up there, my mother-in-law's been up there.
That's also called the McCullough House, isn't it?
That could be, again, names of the Doc's house. And then this is Hunt's Ranch. When I first went up there, pretty grown over. I think some of these are still there, the boots hanging out. There's a basketball hoop with a bunch of boots over there. And then Claire said, be thorough. So I went up in that little cubby up there and crawled around amongst all the wasp nests. And then I found this file with checks in it, and I handed it to her, and she goes, oh man, this answers another question. And she just pulled out files left and right, and it kept answering a lot of her questions that she never knew she'd ever get back to. And then I think that's it of the mining part, and before I put you guys all to sleep. Any more questions on the mining part?
What were the files out? I mean, 1960,000 files?
They were checks, and they had to do with Hunt's Ranch, and had to do with him being part business with somebody else or something like that, but it had the name on it, and there's the evidence. I mean, you can, yeah, so it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand the Mexicans actually mined in that area before. Is that true? There was,
Yeah.
I asked the guys, so the mines that are up there, is that a possibility that those were Mexican mines before?
It's a great possibility. Yeah, because they were relentless, and they were good miners. I mean, they knew how to get in and find the stuff. But it's a possibility that they may tinkered around with it, and then, later on the miners came in. I haven't seen, the Arastra was over by the regional park. I've seen many of them. In fact, I think there's a picture of one I found that they used as an example, but out of 20 ponds out there in the Virginia now, there's quite a few.
Yeah.
How they used to grind, they'd pull a stone around and grind the gold ore. All right, any more questions? Yes?
Kind of a question. Bob and I worked for the Forest Service forever, and he mentioned to me the other day that we want to give him a little protection. If you think you'd like to go in the Craftons and find gold, rock out. But when we were at the Forest Service, we had people come to us all the time and say, I want to go up there, how do I get there? Well, there was private land blocking that particular trail or road. And we always had to tell them, where you want to go is federal land, you can be on it. We don't care. But if it's blocked by private land, you must get their permission. And it's the same thing here because we've grown up so much. I used to live on the Chapman Ranch. It was 1,100 acres of orange groves. Loved it. And now you know it's all homes. And most of the Craftons are surrounded by private land. So don't tell anybody that he said, or I said, or he said, you can go in there and find gold. You need to talk to private landowners and work your way in if you did want to go up there, except by the roads that lead from the college. That's open, and you can hike or bike or whatever. So it's a lot of times private land blocks a lot of these wonderful things, and that's the way it is.
So you take my bolt cutters and throw them in the dumpster?
Your estimation, is there enough to pay in gold for that?
I kind of made the joke, it's kind of grocery money. And years ago, I took some reporters up from the Press Enterprise, and I took them in one of the big mines, the Old Timer Mine. That was me when I was younger. And I basically said, it's easier to just go to 7-Eleven and work for a week because you'll find way more, you'll get more money than you would Because it's hard, gold mining is hard. I've done it, I've prospected, the only gold I found worth keeping was out at the Virginia Dale Mining Company. There's still gold out there in the washes, you dry wash, you can pan, but again, it's fuel, time, machines, buy this, buy that, and you know, it really is by the time you gotta find the mother lode. And man, miners were relentless. I mean, those guys did not hold back. They went everywhere. I mean, just read the history of like Alaska. Good grief. So, well, that concludes the mining section of this, and I'm just gonna give a.
Okay, this is, everything you've covered is Crafton Hills and part of Wildwood also.
Yeah.
I just wondered, and just a question that has nothing to do with these mines, but Oakland Valley, you been back there much?
Oakland Valley? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Never seen more.
Yeah, we've gone, in fact, some of those items, I think I put it in the book, some of the items I found up there at the Rose Mine, at the Big Bear, you go down 201 Road. You go down in there, that's another favorite spot. We've stayed the night back in there. I have actually found part of a cabin. I have old pictures of the whole town, the Rose Mine town. It's been burned, but there's actually, I was digging and I found one of the walls of the cabin had been buried. And I was able to pull it up, and I found little knitted stitched doilies that were stuck on the wall, and I gave one of them. And these were probably 100 some odd years old. The weed was amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of rattlesnakes up there in Crafton. Did you find any going into the? Usually they hang out in the front of the mine.
No, I've seen them. When my son and I were hiking, we found one. He was stretched out on a trail, and he was super huge. He almost had a green tint, almost like a mahogany green. I was like, wow, he was huge. When we were downwind, we just walked right by him, and the largest horny toad I've ever seen was like a bullfrog. And coyotes are fat and hungry. I mean, they're literally large back in there, and they're a mountain lion. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You know, any caves or mines in Cherry Valley?
Cherry Valley? I don't think so, other than water tunnels.
I knew of one, it was west of Beaumont Avenue and north of Orchard, and I believe the street that went up there was Mountain. And when I was a kid, we used to go up there, and it was a tunnel you could walk into it. It was probably a water body.
Yeah, because there's a lot of those around, because again, that's liquid gold. Out at Santa Mateo, when you go on the other side of Beaumont there, I found there's a really cool it's an old Native American living, camp, and it's beautiful, but it was when they cut the water tunnel through under the Iowell Mountain, it killed all of it. Because when you're there, you're in the driest area, and you think, why would anybody be out here? Well, if you look at the rocks, they are just cut and smooth from the years of rushing water that doesn't exist anymore. And when we found their site, you have all the grinding holes and everything, and there's a lot of little acorns. One of my things when I hike, I always have to know. So whenever we're hiking somewhere, a good example, we're out at Joshua Tree. My wife said, I just want to go to that big old outcropping of boulders. It's not really a hiking place, but you can meander your way there. So we went, it's pretty amazing. And then we're hiking to this next thing of boulders, and I look up and I see like a little dot again. And it's like, that's gotta be a cave. And I can't let it go. I'm one of those, I have to know. So let's run up there real quick. So I ran up there real quick, and sure enough, it's a cave. And it's got burn on the ceiling. And so, Native Americans were there, and as I'm in there, the rat nest kind of took up most of it. But as I'm looking in the sand, here's a piece of pottery. And I just pull it up, and it's, black on one side, and the red on the other side, and you can see all the little fingerprints of them pushing in when they made it. And so you sit there and you look, it's a great view if you're game hunting or whatever. And I just had to know, but it was worth it, right? Instead of passing it by, I have to go look. So we were just there a month ago, and we're kind of by Barker, I think it's Barker Dam, but we're over on this other trail, and I can't stay on the trail. I just can't. So I was going to go on because there's always something you're going to miss. And sure enough, I found this. It looked like a mushroom rock with like a little opening, and I crawled in there, and here's all these petroglyphs. Nobody knows. It's just sitting there, right? And there are markings of days, and there's even the sun. And then you can pretty much say they were there for they're probably there for a month, but that whole canyon is full of little acorns. So you take the acorns and you can make your flour out of it, whatever. I've actually done that before up in Forest Falls. You take the acorns, you get the tannin out of it, and, you know, anyway, I won't bore you with that. Can't help it. Any other questions?
Yes, you said the Virginia Dale Shaft, where is that, what town is that?
So, if you go past 29 Palms,
Okay,
and then just go farther out, it's a Virginia Dale Mining Company. I think it's off the 62.
The district.
Yeah, and then there's a road called Gold Crown Road. You take Gold Crown, it leads you to just the best. I love it out there because it's just quiet, desolate, and you think of how many people lived out there in the heat and mined. It's hard work. Pretty amazing. Any other mining questions? Wait, somebody over here.
Not exactly mining. Do you know anything about the artifacts that were found within the last couple of months? Woodhouse Road and Roberts over by.
News to me. Yeah, that'd be exciting to see.
Yeah, a friend of mine took me and showed me a mine that he had seen maybe 10 years prior. And he said, I think I know about where it's at. Well, you go up County Line Road, I'm sure you know where it's at. County Line Road, and you go all the way up to the end. And off to the right, you go down into the ditch down there. It's down there somewhere, and we found it. And yeah, it was a cave, and there was also a spring a water that came out next to it. You know what happens there?
I know the one, yeah.
You know,
that was a talc mine or something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It has
yeah,
tracks there
and
too.
there's water. If you go up to the top of it, there's a shaft. I believe you'll see the steel water pipe too, because they tapped into that water source.
Oh.
A lot of times you're digging for the mineral, boom, you strike water. What's worth more? The water's like, man, I capitalize on that. It's like I call it liquid gold.
I don't know how deep that thing was. We didn't go into it.
There's some frogs in there. I think it's the one that goes down like 30 feet. And then if you walk around the top, there's another shaft up there on top of that.
Oh.
I dragged my nieces and nephews and my kids been in there a couple times.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so next, these are the two books I just released, and again, it's Single Mom, 6 Kids and a Piano. Shifting gears, my mom was the kind of mom that go out, back in the day, we would go out, go play, come back for dinner, and when you had 6 kids and a single mom, we were out all the time. And early banding in '73, there was a lot of outbuildings. We weren't too far from the railroad tracks and the washes, and just the things you do as kids, So I write this tale because I think of Little House on the Prairie. I read those to my kids when they were young. If you ever, the story of Laura Ingalls Wilder, she realized after Pa passed away, and then Caroline passed away, and then I think Mary passed away, and then I think her sister Carrie did, she realized, wait a minute, we went across the prairie. We left and came, and we lived through some crazy danger, so she said, I gotta write this down, just so people know. And so she wrote Little House on the Prairie. The books are way better than the movie, like always, right? But her tale is amazing, and Rose, her daughter, helped her write these books because she wanted to tell that story. And I kind of feel the same way. I was really, really blessed to have the upbringing I've had, and I wanted to tell the tale of my brothers. There's four brothers and 2 sisters. There's 6 of us. There's 5 now. One of my brothers had passed from cancer. So you really realize maybe I can leave something for my kids and for maybe people to enjoy. But my mom had such a drive to raise 6 kids by herself, and that time was a hard time. And worked at the Deutsch Company.
Did you ever work at Deutsch Company?
Deutsch Company.
Because I worked there.
Yeah, had that conversation before. Yeah. I even wrote a chapter about her being hired, and this one about the famed Deutsch picnics, because it's like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory if you're a kid.
Is that your first book or the second book?
There's Deutsch in both of those books. And then these are some of my first writings. They're fantasy fiction series I did. They need a lot of work. I give people, they read this, it's good, it's kind of good. No, they won't read this book. Try it again. Writing's horrible, so I learned a lot. Literally, I graduated. My mom didn't pay attention to me much, but I had a 3rd grade reading level when I graduated high school. Yeah, anyway, I missed 35 days in one semester. I just was what most of my kids. had a motorcycle, what else you gonna do? And then, back then, you get your unsatisfactory report in the mail, you can grab it before your mom sees it. Now everything's electronic, so you can't do that. And then lastly, this is my last project I'm working on, my next big project. It's gonna take me 6-7 years to work on. It's called Carrier Man. So this is the monument that is down at San Diego, and as you can see, it's a list of the CV class aircraft carriers. My grandpa, Joe Hardis, he served on 5 of those aircraft carriers out of the first 6 ever. He was on the Langley, which was an oil tanker converted, and your question?
No, my father was on the USS Yorktown, and I still have his like a yearbook. I could bring that to you, show that to you if you would like to.
Yeah, because the only one he didn't serve on was the Ranger, but he finished on the USS Enterprise. And he was in World War II. He was in 8 battles in 1 year. I have, before my grandma passed away, she said, "Is there anything you want?" And I said, "I would like a copy of his war record." And that one picture, there was only a few pictures of my grandma. My grandma's name is Frankie and Joe. I never met him. My mom was 16 when he passed away. So I write a little bit of that tale in here too. And then, so I'm writing this book, and as I'm diving into it about his brothers, he's from a family of 7 in Pennsylvania. It's going to take me a long time to do the research, but I'm really working hard and trying to get this one out. At the same time, Layla and I are working together to try and boost that fantasy fiction series to make it palatable and readable for people.
I like that story.
Okay.
I did. Was he on the Lexington?
Yeah.
Which Lexington?
The only aircraft carrier that I have on that.
Regular one.
Yeah, it was.
My dad was on it.
Really?
Yes.
Man, see, this is what I
And
like
I
these
have
meetings.
artifacts from it, and I have little photos of these little dinky, look like a wind-up airplane taking off. Oh my God. Yeah, I'll show you.
Yeah, so my mom told me the story real quick of when he made it through. I mean, he was in battles to where, imagine a 500-pounder boom into your elevator shaft.
Oh.
Your friends are gone, and you're running, and there's no music playing. There's no drama where you kneel down and start holding your friend as they're taking. That plane's turning around and coming back to kill you. So he lived through all that, and then when he was in the reserves and they called him up for the Korean War, he got on a treadmill, had a heart attack. So you're like, I got to tell that story because as I'm digging into his history and his brother's history of World War I, they served with, I think his name was Smedley. He wrote a book called
Smedley Butler.
Yeah, Smedley Butler. I found out that my grandpa's brother served with him in a campaign to overtake a fort in Haiti. So it's going to take a long time to write this one. And then lastly, one of the fun facts about me, my claim to fame, I found out that my great grandmother is Mary Boone, the sister of Daniel Boone. So I'm like, oh, no wonder I love Daniel. That explains everything. And then, so at the very end, Claire made up for the Wayne Did It story. Me and my family ended up on the brochure of the Wildwood State Park.
Yes,
You ever see that
awesome.
picture? There's me and my kids, and Evan, there's you and Emily. So anyway, Claire, she was great. I just give all thanks and credit to her because she is the mastermind behind all this. She's the one that made all this possible because she can throw out all the knowledge so quick. Any other questions? I think that concludes. Did I meet my 45 minutes? Or Oops. All right. Any other questions? Well, thank you so much.